Welcome back. We are talking about the holidays, gifts and stress and all the things that go along with it. In this episode, I actually want to talk about stressors. And what I'd love to know from you is, what are your biggest stressors during the holiday? Maybe you can tell us what you do if you're really good at managing it. And if you're not, what are your biggest stressors, and what is it you want to know about how to manage that? You can leave that on brainwarriorswaypodcast.com. You can also leave us a review at Apple Podcast or on brainwarriorswaypodcast.com. And if you do, it enters you in a raffle to win my cookbook, which we just sent a bunch out, which is a great gift for the holidays. And so let's talk about stress.
Well, I have a review from a mom in Colorado. Thank you for doing the work you do. I'm a single mom who grew up in chaos, has the genetics for brain disaster, and was outrageously over-medicated. My brain was a disaster, as was my life. It's taken years of work and the guidance of your books to get to where I am now, off meds, just landed a job I love, and launching a business. However, I have found myself 100% single parent, and that has brought a new host of challenges. Mm-hmm. I love what Tana brings to the podcast as a woman and mother. Hearing tips from your kiddos has been so insightful as I guide my relationship and home structure with my own daughter. Thank you, and love to your whole family.
Oh.
I was
so
on Apple
sweet.
Reviews.
Thank you.
Well, and think of it from a single mom. You were a single mom when I found you.
Mm-hmm. When you found me?
I rescued.
Like I was an orphan?
Not rescued you.
That's the wrong word.
When you rescued me from...
We rescued each other, yes.
From the craziness in my life. Yeah, no, we rescued you. But you were a single mom, and it was hard.
It was very hard.
Right? I mean, you were working
and because
these
of my,
12-hour shifts.
And because of my chaos... to that fact, I wouldn't have a babysitter. So I refused to have babysitters because I had been so traumatized by babysitters in my past. So what I did was, I was mom when she was there. When she went to visit her dad, I would work, and I would work double shifts as a nurse. So I'd work nights, I'd work weekends, and then I would make up as much time as I could so that I could be home and be mom. And I was just exhausted. So,
well, I wonder how many moms actually have adrenal fatigue.
Well, and I worked in a trauma unit, so you can bet I had adrenal fatigue.
You can bet that you did. And it takes a toll. And so if you're a single mom, being a brain warrior is even more important.
Yeah. And I wasn't then. So my refrigerator, I was really good at making, I was dead set that I was going to make my daughter, I was going to give her what I didn't have. So I made her breakfast. I made her whole foods. I didn't really understand what we understand now about the gluten-free stuff and all that, but I was really good at making her food. And then I would eat frosting, go to work, and have 2 pots of coffee and M&Ms. So I was really bad. It was really bad. It was when we got together.
I feel like I'm in an AA meeting and we're sharing our confessions.
Oh yeah, no, it was bad. It was bad. But when we got together and I started taking classes again, and I'm like, wow, it hit me how much my lifestyle and nutrition and all that was playing a part in my past illness over my life. And I didn't want to repeat that cycle.
Yeah, didn't you say growing up your best friends were
the captain, the tiger, and
the leprechaun.
The leprechaun.
For Lucky Charms and Captain Crunch and Frosted Flakes. Mm-hmm. Wow.
They started coming to dinner too.
Yeah, no, you have to be careful. They'll just, wiggle their way into your life.
They look so harmless.
And the problem is exposure equals preference. What you do is what you're going to want to do. Mm-hmm. Maybe not even want to do, but what you do is what you do again. And then you do again, what you do again. It becomes unconscious habit.
And what I love is this sort of leads into what we're talking about today with stress over the holidays. People do not want to accept it. And I'm sorry, folks, you can want to accept it or not, because I go through this with our 16-year-old. Now that she's 16, the teenage gene is finally kicking in a little bit. And that pushing back, which I never thought would, but she was just so easy. And she's still easy. But that little bit of pushing back.
Never thought she would push back.
Well, I mean, she's always been strong-willed. When she was 5, she was terrible. But she's been such an easy teenager, and all of a sudden now she's pushing back a little more, and she's got her own opinions and her own, she's just not quite as easy. And she wasn't feeling quite right, and she was getting a rash, and she wasn't feeling like her normal self. And I'm like, have you tried cutting gluten out of your diet? Because she does not want to acknowledge that she's sensitive like I am. And she's like, it's not that, and rolls her eyes and gets all mad. And then finally, it has to be her idea. She comes to me and she goes, so I'm going to cut gluten out of my diet and just see what happens. And she's like, 3 days later, she's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And it's her idea. But as we go into the holidays, our diets get worse and worse and worse. And brain fog gets worse. And already people, even though we think of it as a happy time of year, it's not. For most people, if you actually look at the statistics, it's when depression goes up. It's when people are very, very stressed between the weather, the time change, the, financial problems and having to shop, which that alone for me is just like, oh. But
did you know that when men go to the mall, bodies take on the physiology of a soldier in war?
I knew I was a guy in disguise.
So, but for me, that doesn't happen.
I shouldn't have said that because that sounded really weird, but I knew that was like, I knew there was something to that.
Is there another discussion we need to have?
Well, I'm just telling you, when we get near a mall, I feel myself tensing. I feel like my blood pressure is going up. I get annoyed. Like I'm almost angry when I get near a mall. And when you say, oh, it's your birthday, let me take you shopping. I'm like, I thought you loved me. Why would you do that to me? I get seriously annoyed.
And then you found Amazon.
Yes. Yes. Which talks.
All right. So this is not about us. This is about our listeners.
To stress. So if you don't like the mall and you have to do some shopping, online shopping. Yes. The best.
But with what you can afford, which
right.
means take care of your frontal lobe so that you plan. And part of the one-page miracle I do with all of my patients. So if you haven't ever done a one-page miracle, on one piece of paper, just write down what you want in your relationships, in your money, in your work, in your physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And with money, and I think psychiatrists don't talk enough to their patients about money and managing their money, because clearly one of the biggest stress is, if I spend this, does it fit the goals I have for my life?
Right.
And so we're often so wanting to please other people, but going in debt to do that increases your stress, and then you're not as happy. You're not as fun.
And as somebody on the receiving end, it doesn't feel good to me when I know that someone had to put themselves in a position of being stressed to get that gift. That doesn't feel good. That feels awkward. So just FYI, the person receiving it, unless it's a little kid, they tend to not see it the same way. And
one of the things I've learned about little kids, being a child psychiatrist, that Haven,
she likes the box.
16-month-old granddaughter, actually likes the box
and
better
the bows
than
and yeah.
Right. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It's the thought and the time that counts. And if you go, oh, well, you don't know my family, then it's, are these really the right people to hang out with? Because you become like the people you spend time with. So the tips we so far have talked about: food, really protect yourself. Brain warriors protect themselves.
Right, because the food you eat will either make you feel better or more stressed going into the holidays. We talked about how to shop to protect yourself. I know I hate it, and I hate it worse during the holiday. Hate them all. So I shop on Amazon for the shopping I'm going to do. I try to think of things that are more gifts of service. So maybe that's something you can do. Don't stress yourself financially any more than you absolutely have to. And you'll be surprised at how much you can do. Like reading books to kids is a really helpful thing.
And one great gift that you could institute if you're not already doing this is something called special time, which we've talked about a lot, but it's spend 20 minutes a day with your child doing something he or she wants to do.
Games or books.
I remember one, because I like watching basketball and you don't. And one Christmas you said, I'll watch 10 games with you. Because I just like
You still haven't
it.
collected all of them. But.
But I know that you owe them to me,
Yeah,
and I feel good
that
about
makes
it.
you feel good. Yeah.
No, it makes me feel good when you're with me doing something
That you love.
that
I'll go to the
love.
games with you anytime. I like going to games. I just don't like it on TV. So,
Well,
yeah.
now the Lakers are more fun.
But be careful.
All right.
There is one word of caution with special time. When you institute it, it's really hard to uninstitute it. So our 16-year-old still, every morning she gets up, mommy, and she climbs in my lap. Can we go for a walk? Can we go for a drive? She's still like, it becomes this like ritual that you have
Yeah,
to
but
sort
who
of
has
maintain.
the most influence over her?
I'm
And
sort of
as
kidding because I love it.
16-year-old, you want the parents to have
I'm going to cry
influence.
when it ends. I'm going to cry.
And it'll be okay because
No.
you and I can have more special time.
I know. See,
What is the one thing you've learned today about how you can help manage stress during the holidays? Post it on any of your social media sites and hashtag Brain Warriors Way podcast. Also, leave us a comment, question, or review on how you manage the stress or any really cool Brain Warrior gifts that you've given to people you care about. Stay with us.
if you're enjoying the Brain Warriors Way podcast, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always know when there's a new episode. And while you're at it, feel free to give us a review or 5-star rating, as that helps others find the podcast.
If you're considering coming to Amen Clinics or trying some of the brain healthy supplements from BrainMD, you can use the code podcast10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com or a 10% discount on all supplements at brainmdhealth.com. For more information, give us a call at 855-978-1363.